Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Voters in Bayelsa and Kogi State turn out in their numbers to choose their governors for the next 4 years amid pockets of violence in some polling units. People of Kogi West Senatorial District vote in the rerun election to decide their representative in the upper legislative chamber following the appeal court judgment sacking Mr. Dino Milaye from the Senate. Candidate of the Allied People's Movement in the Ogun State governorship election, Mr. Adekunle Akinlade, moves to challenge the appeal court judgment affirming the victory of Governor Dapo Abiodun. Ogun governor says action is not surprising. And 2 people killed as protests erupt across Iran after government announced rationing of petrol and jacked up the price. For more information on our top stories and others, just check out our website. It's channelstv.com. YouTube.com/channelsweb has videos of all our shows. And here are some of the pictures you sent in. Most of them are talking about infrastructure. Let's begin with this picture from Enugu-Onitsha Expressway. It's going to be showing a falling, there it is, trailer carrying locally made bags of rice. Our eyewitness reporter says this is what motorists go through due to the bad roads, and he's calling on the state government to do something about it, and quickly too. Now, this next image shows an eroded portion of a road close to the Abia State University in Isikwato local government area of Abia State. Our eyewitness reporter calls it a death trap and wants the authorities responsible to do something about it. Still on bad roads is this image from Redemption Way in Mowe, Ogun State. Our eyewitness reporter laments the trouble commuters go through plying the route. He's calling on the state government to intervene. We appreciate you for sending in those images and encourage you to keep them coming. Now, staying with election matters, in Bayelsa State, collation of votes is ongoing in the governorship elections. Now, despite the glitches recorded this morning, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and security agencies say the exercise is on course. Police, electorate, observers, all on standby, but the electoral officers are behind schedule. A slow start, and the anxious voters start losing their cool.
My friends, you know, don't do it. Not be afraid.
At 9:05 a.m., the officials and materials are conveyed, accompanied by security operatives. The number of voters grows, and the business of the day gets underway.
A lot of voters have been afraid that there would be a lot of bloodshed and violence. But quite frankly, this morning we woke up to a different reality.
The National Commissioner in charge of the region says the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has had a good outing despite the delay.
We've had areas where hoodlums have come, carted away our paper, ballot paper and stuff like that, and they have also torn them up. And we've had places where they've burnt things down. But relatively, you can see this is Yanagwa, and there's a multitude here to vote. And they're lining up properly, and they're doing it properly. So we're happy with the way things have come.
The Police Service Commission is also on ground to look at the conduct of its officers on duty.
As the parents of the Nigerian police, it is our duty to follow up and ensure that they perform their duties according to law. But whereby a police officer is found to be going out of his line of duty to do what is unlawful by aiding any participant or any candidate, then we take the law, we bring the weight of the law on such a person.
Civil society organizations give an early assessment of the exercise.
If you look at where we are, there are about 8 polling units here. They're just setting up. I think that INEC should have been much more forthright in doing things right. And if it's just only 2 elections, that are happening simultaneously, I see no justification for this kind of logistical crisis, that we have found ourselves once again.
As the people of Bayelsa await the results of the election, the coming hours are as crucial as the concluded phase of the process. Staying in Bayelsa State, the prediction of violence and downpour recorded did not stop voters from coming out to choose their next governor. Our correspondent, Dobra Timiwood, reports that although there were reports of chaos in some polling units, the major contenders in the race have expressed satisfaction with the exercise.
The much-awaited election day is here, and Bayelsans have come out in their numbers to vote for their preferred candidates. Here at Amarata Epie, in the heart of Yenegua, the Bayelsa state capital, materials are brought late to the polling units. Sampo community in Kolokoma-Opokoma local government area, hometown of the flag bearer of the People's Democratic Party. The major concern here is not the late arrival of election materials, but how to gain access into the community as the INEC officials and election observers are welcomed by this flood. After over 1 hour of waiting, the election observers and journalists braved the flood and are ferried into the community with canoes and this Hilux van. A few minutes later, the PDP candidate, Senator Doye Diri, and his wife arrived to cast their votes.
I can only speak about my ward, my unit, and the reports I've received from my local government. It is going on peacefully. At
Olokpobri community in Southern Ijaw local government area, the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, David Lyon, joins the queue, gets accredited and votes in a process he describes as peaceful.
The process is peaceful and cordial. The election is going on very, very well.
Over at Tororua in Sagbama local government area, the incumbent Governor Seriaki Dixon votes and bears his mind on the conduct of the poll.
I hope you are all aware of the well-organized brigandage and criminality taking place in Nembe, taking place in Southern Ijaw.
Most places visited by the Channels television crew at Agudamaipie community and Amasoma town were seen to be peaceful as judged by some election observers, although there were reports of violence that occurred in some polling units across the state. Bayelsans are eager to hear the announcement from INEC on who would possibly be the governor of Bayelsa State come February 14th, 2020. Dobra Timiwood, Channels Television News.
And talking about INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission has been reviewing the conduct of today's exercise in Kogi and Bayelsa State. The commission says it's not entirely happy with the outcome of the exercise, especially in places where it did not begin on time. The Chief Press Secretary to the INEC Chairman, Mr. Rotimi Oyekomi, has been explaining some of the reasons which led to the delay in some parts of the state.
You know, we don't have, for instance, enough vehicles to transport our materials to all the polling units. We depend on private operators to do that. So what we did this time around is that we signed MOUs with individual transporters. The last time, I think we tried to reach an agreement with the transport unions and there were hitches. So this time we said, fine, let's talk to identify reliable individual owners from the unions and then sign individual MOUs with them. So in the MOUs, we tell them how much we're going to pay and what they expected to do. And it was based on this MOU that we roll out our plans. But on the day of election, that's today, we had some issues with some of these transporters and boat owners. For instance, like the wreck in Bayelsa said, when somebody is expected to provide his boat by 6 a.m., he doesn't come until 8 or 9 a.m. On the day of election, it becomes a problem. And when you don't have immediate alternative, that if you don't have your own boat that you can put there, it becomes an issue. But we'll always find means of getting around all these challenges because we cannot continue, to condone indiscipline in this manner. And based on every election had its own peculiarities, and moving forward, we are going to take some lessons away from this one and then improve. It's like with every election, there's something new to tackle, there's something new to look at. Voting has ended in the 2 states. The collation has started.
In other political matters, the Allied People's Movement governorship candidate in the March 9th governorship elections in Ogun State, Mr. Adekunle Akinlade, has expressed his readiness to challenge the appeal court judgment which affirmed the victory of the state governor, Dapo Abiodun. Addressing representatives of the party from the 57 local government and local council development areas at the party's secretariat in Abeokuta, the state capital, Mr. Akinlade said he was sure of victory at the Supreme Court. He asked his supporters to remain calm and resolute as the party takes its case to the Supreme Court.
As you all know, we rightfully decided to challenge the governorship election result of March 9, 2019. Subsequently, the Election Tribunal and the Court of Appeal dismissed our petition on the grounds that the cornerstone of our case was a pre-election matter, thus statute bar. Our conviction and belief in the legal system is unshaken, despite the 2 previous judgments. Elders and leaders across the state met and unanimously agreed that we must approach the Supreme Court to test the strength of our case.
Meanwhile, Governor Dapo Abiodun says he's not surprised by Mr. Akinlade's decision to approach the Supreme Court. In a statement, the governor says Mr. Akinlade has refused to accept the position of God, the people and the judiciary at different independent levels on the outcome of the exercise, which he says he massively won at the polls, was validated by the tribunal and upheld by the appeal court. He, however, expressed confidence that as the APM has not recorded victory in the earlier cases, the party will equally fail in the highest court of the land. He says his confidence is premised on the fact that all the competent courts are guided by the Constitution, the Electoral Act, and the rule of law. When the news at 10 returns, federal government plans to boost bilateral ties with the United Kingdom with the establishment of Trade Center in partnership with the Nigerian British Chamber of Commerce. That's on Business News. Join us again.